developing countries. In every country, this ISO 22000, that is very important food safety management system for the food industries. So that's why even the other GFSI approved or the GFSI recognized food safety management systems like VRCGS or FSSC 22000 version 5.1, and now the latest version is 6.0. They are all based on this management system, which is ISO 22000 2018 version. This food safety management system is also known as FSMS. So normally this FSMS or ISO, please mute all your headphones. Uh, please mute your speakers so that we can continue without any hindrance or. Okay, thank you. So, as you know that this food safety management system, or ISO 22000 2018 lead auditor training certificate, or the training course. This is 5 days course in which the 4 days is class, and then fifth day is its certification exam, and then it's very highest level of food safety management system. That's why, and that 5 days is also from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. These 8 hours per day. So that means that this management system requires a lot of time for its coverage and for its completion. But today we have maximum 3 hours for that, and I will try my best to cover all the segments, especially all the important segments of this management system. And I will try my best that when we will end today's session, you all people will be expert and well aware about the food safety management system, which is ISO 22000 2018. And before this ISO 22000 2018 version, there was the version ISO 22000 2005 version. And after that, this latest version came by adopting the latest requirements also. So let's start. First of all, what is food? What is quality and food safety? Many people are confused about these two terms, and they think that these two terms are same, but there is a slight difference between these two terms. And because the quality of a food is explained as attributes of a food which can be consistently achieved so as to meet customer satisfaction. So we can say in a simple manner that quality is customer satisfaction. Our quality is following or completing the standards required by our customers. So simply, in the quality does not mean that the product has the safety standards or the safety parameters which are perfect for which are required for food safety perspective. So, and the food safety is explained as the state of food free from harm or potential hazard to the consumer. So there is a difference between these two terms, that quality is customer satisfaction and food safety is more concerned about the safety of the product, that it will not impart any harm to its consumer when will be consumed within prescribed limits. So hopefully you have learned about the difference between the food safety and quality. And then the quality aspects of, for example, if we take the example of fried chicken, then the quality aspects of the fried chicken will be uniform cooking, color, taste, juiciness, and other characteristics. While the food safety aspects of the fried chicken will be the control of significant hazards, adequate cooking, temperature, and adequate time to kill food poisoning bacteria, prevention of contaminants in kitchen from salt, herbs, and other spices. The absence of antibiotics in chicken means the food safety aspects of the fried chicken will be that there is no hazard in that fried chicken, and that hazard has been controlled at the CCP, critical control point, through the control measure at the CCP. uh, in frying or in cooking, we can say that cooking temperature and time, these are the two key factors for to make the food safe for the consumer. So the food safety aspect of fried chicken will be control of significant hazards, adequate cooking, temperature, and adequate time to kill food poisoning bacteria. Prevention of contaminants in chicken from salt, herbs, and other spices means the prevention of fried chicken or the chicken from the physical, chemical, biological, and microbiological, and now the latest from the allergen hazards, and controlling these hazards, especially the bacterial hazards, with the proper cooking time and temperature, which is for example, which is considered, there should be minimum 75 degrees centigrade cooking for the chicken. And then what is food safety management system? What is FSMS? So FSMS is a collaborative and systematic approach to effectively manage food safety risks. These physical, chemical, biological, and microbiological and allergen risks. And then FSMS helps companies to improve food safety performance continually. FSMS also provides a framework for companies to comply food safety ordinance. It helps in the compliance of the food safety legislative requirements of that country, and then regulations, state laws, and other obligations. Generally, FSMS directs organizations to conduct hazard analysis within the flow of food processing, means the implementation of HACCP properly, implementation of HACCP in the food premises. And then and that in the HACCP, the first principle is hazard analysis, which
Excuse
contains
me,
the
sir.
key.
We can see the
Yes.
current slide, please.
Now can see.
Yes, sir.
Is
Thank
it
you.
okay? Okay. Okay, then in the hazard analysis, there are three steps of the hazard analysis, which is first principle of hazard management. In hazard analysis, first of all, the hazard identification is done, and then the hazard risk assessment is done, which comprises that we are at the food, what is food safety management system, FSMS. We are at the slide. What is food safety management system, FSMS? Can you see that? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we
And then,
can.
okay, conduct
Sir,
hazard
marriage
analysis.
plan. Marriage
Conduct
plan.
hazard analysis within the flow of food processing, and then examine the risks related to the identified hazards, risk assessment of the identified hazards, and then identify critical hazards. Which critical hazards can come and can contaminate our product at which stage. All that is covered in hazard identification, and then in hazard risk assessment. And then according to the risk assessment and according to the hazard identification, we can make the control measures for these hazards, these physical, chemical, biological, microbiological, and allergen hazards. And then identify critical hazards, and then establish the controls imperative to minimize the critical food safety hazards. According to the hazard analysis, we make the control measures to control these hazards at any stage, all the stages from raw material reception till the final supply of our final product. Then establish critical limits for critical hazards. So this is the uh, uh, second principle. In first principle we do hazard analysis, and in the second principle we find or we determine the critical control point. And then after the determination of our ccps, then we go towards the establishing critical limits for that critical hazards at the CCPs. The overall process above is known as hazard analysis and critical control program. That these are all the parts of hazard. And then define goals for food safety performance. What are our objectives for our food safety management system? And then create a plan to achieve goals. First, we make our objectives, then we make our goals, and then to achieve those goals, we make a way forward through food safety plan. And then monitor performance against targets and goals. After the implementation, we do monitoring to for the performance against targets and our goals, performance evaluation, and then report the results. And then these results are reported to the higher management in the MRM, so that we can make the further uh, corrective actions are the first improvement, which is the last and the 10th clause of ISO 22000 and then review the FSMS results and improve. And review is done on the basis of our data, which is from the monitoring for which is from the overview from the monitoring, and then from the evaluation. On the basis of data, we can do the review of FSMS. And also whenever there is any change, whenever there is any change in any in our any product, process, parameter, equipment, utensil, machinery, whenever there is any change in any of these items, we do the review of our FSMS and of our HACCP also. And then food safety codes and standards, which are internationally implemented in the food safety in the food industries in the world, are FSSC, which is known as Food Safety System Certification. And now previously it's version 5.1 is implemented already in the whole world. And now the latest one came in April, that is FSSC version 6.0. Some changes have been done in version 5.1. And then ISO 22,000 these that was the previous version before the ISO 22,000 version. And then the Codex Alimentarius, these all standards are drafted and regulated by the Codex Alimentarius. Codex Alimentarius is the body, international body, which frames and drafts the standards. Either these are the product standards, the process standards, are either these are the standards for the raw materials. All the standards of products and processes and management system standards are made by the Codex Alimentarius. And in this 2023, Codex Alimentarius celebrated its 60th anniversary. Means that the Codex Alimentarius is 60 years old body of drafting the standards in the whole world. The different countries. GG.
Kindly continue your slide sharing.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then scope.
Okay.
FS scope means that on which products and on which premises we want to implement our food safety management system. So the scope of FSSC has a limited scope as compared to ISO 22000. That's why I choose this ISO 22000 for today's topic rather than the FSSC. So FSSC has a limited scope as compared to ISO 22000. Most of the world still, because the basis of FSSC 22000 is also ISO 22000, and most of the companies of the world, they are still following. They have still implemented ISO 22000 2018 standard rather than the FSSC, going towards the FSSC. But FSSC is GFSI recognized, while this ISO 22000 is still not GFSI recognized. Only one difference between these two standards is this. And then farming, perishable animal products, food processing, feed production, food ingredients, and food packaging material manufacturing is covered under the scope of FSSC. And then transparency, FSSC 22000 publicizes information on certification of organizations, food safety performance. Organizations gain transparency externally through food safety certification, because these are the global standards and globally accepted standards. That's why
एक्सक्यूज मी
the
सर,
WTO जी
सर स्लाइड नहीं मूव हो रही।
अभी मैं उसी स्लाइड पे हूँ, फूड सेफ्टी कोड्स एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स पे।
ओके सर,
आपके पास ये नहीं है? ये आपको विजिबल है, फूड सेफ्टी
बट
कोड्स एंड स्टैंडर्ड्स?
फूड क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम है सर।
No, sir,
अच्छा
we are
अच्छा।
on what is food safety management system.
Now
Now it's a food safety
now
codes
visible?
and standards.
Right. Okay, I am on the same. I am on the same slide, right? I am discussing about the scope of the FSSC and ISO 22000. And transparency, FSSC 22000, as it's a global standard, that's why it's accepted globally. FSSC 22000 publicizes information on certification of organizations, food safety performance. That's why the countries, according these international standards help in the WTO, and in the international trade between the different countries, and between the different industries of the different countries, because this WTO also adopts the codex standards, and this is also the codex standard, international standard, ISO 22000 and FSSC 22000. That's why the companies can do import and export through following these standards, are adopting these, are and implementing these standards. Uh, Organizations gain transparency externally through food safety certification. FSSC 22000 encourages employees' active participation internally. With FSSC 22000, an organization can manage its food safety hazards, as we discussed in the previous slide, because these all standards, food safety standards, they emphasize on the hazard analysis, and then according to those analysis, the control on those hazards, and then reinforce legal compliance. All the standards, food safety, international standards, they comply, and they are of the view that the local standards, legislative body standards, and enforcement body standards should be adopted and implemented in these standards also. And then reinforce legal compliance and ensure customer satisfaction. So by the main purpose of the food safety is also customer satisfaction, as per food safety perspective. Now this the new slide is visible, food safety codes and standards
Yes,
with
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
ISO logo. Okay. Then ISO 22000 2005 was the first edition of ISO 22000 on food safety management system, and then ISO 22000 2005 is compatible
Hello,
with these. जी
hello, hello, sir. Please, the
जी
one
जी
you just gave up, the one you displayed last, we have taken note of it. Can you
So ISO
understand?
22000 2005 is compatible with ISO 9001 and
Hello,
ISO 22000, right? Yes,
hello, sir. Please,
yes.
can you go back to that FSS, that
Uh, Food Safety System Certification. This is the abbreviation of
Yes,
Food
yes.
Safety
We
System
are trying,
Certification.
we are trying to make a note of it, sir. Can you understand? Do you understand me? You are trying to make
No.
a note on it. Please, can you go back to it?
Right.
You are
I
trying
will continue with that. I will continue with that. You can do your questions at the end of session. At the end
to
of
please.
session.
That emphasis, we are making a note on it. We are making a note on it, please. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Please help us to display that.
And then ISO 22000 is compatible with ISO 9001, 2000 and ISO 22000, 2005 states requirements for a food
Hello, sir.
safety management system.
Hello, sir.
It just listen and at the end you
Please,
can do questions.
can you help us to go back to that FSCC, please? Maybe we'll cut it short.
No, the other people have listened
Hello,
that
you
and
guys
learned
should
that.
just
And now
take it
we will
slow,
continue
slow.
with that. After
Please
that,
help us to go back to it, please.
Take a screenshot. Stop being a
What?
coward. Take a screenshot.
Yeah, I want to take a screenshot. Make it go back to it.
Please, can you go back to the number 4, please? Take the screenshot.
and then ISO 22000 2005 is compatible with ISO 9001 and ISO 22000 states requirements for a food safety management system. It helps food
One.
organizations to develop and implement a food safety policy and objectives. And we will, in the latest slides, we will also discuss this HLS. This is called the high level structure. The clauses, the mostly clauses of these standards are compatible and related to each other. And then the standards guides organizations to consider and review legal and other prescribed requirements. Standards are made by keeping in view the legal requirements also. The standard directs the organization to control critical food safety hazards. And because this is a food safety management system, that's why its main focus is on the food safety hazards and the control of that those hazards. Then the standard does not dictate on its own any specific food safety performance criteria. It just gives the guidance, it just gives the clauses, and according to those guidance and clauses, the standard the companies can make their own standards accordingly. And then food safety codes and standards continue. As I have already told about the Codex Alimentarius, and these FSSE and ISO 22000 2005, these are the ISO 22000 2018. These are the Codex standards. Codex Alimentarius is a transitively known as food codes. It is globally recognized series of standards and recommendations. These codes are sourced in many national laws as the different countries, federal bodies or the federal legislation bodies, they adopt as such these standards, are they can modify these standards according to their conditions, their countries conditions. They can change these also, modify these also. And these codes provide the basis for most government authorities to ensure consumer safety, because that we are talking about the food safety, that is the main focus is for the consumers health and consumers safety. Then it's made by the Codex Alimentarius Commission, uh, and Codex Alimentarius Commission is a joint venture between the FAO and United Nations and WHO. So these are the three segments, are the three contributors of the Codex Alimentarius. And then ISO 22000 is made on the Codex principles for food hygiene. Therefore, regulators ISO 22000 in national requirements. Moreover, some regulators also use ISO 22000 for government inspections to make sure organizations fulfill basic criteria for food safety management requirements. And then this FSMS, the new slide is visible to anyone, to everyone. ISO 22000 or
Yes, sir.
FSSA 22000.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So what should be preferred? It's what should be preferred, or what should be what is preferred at this time in the whole world. We can discuss that. ISO 22000 or FSSC 22000. Between the two, what is preferable? There is no definite answer whether ISO 22000 or FSSC 22000 will suit any food company. Every company is unique. The effectiveness of the food safety management system actually relies on how religiously company implements the requirements. If there is any food safety management system, either it's only the HACCP, either it's ISO 22000 2018, either it's FSSC 22000, either it's BRCGS, either it's IFS. The main purpose is its implementation in the true sense. If it is implemented in the true sense, then it's helpful in food safety, and it's helpful in controlling or gaining the brand recognition and consumers confidence also. And then when one can choose either ISO 22000 2018 or FSSC as the requirements for organizations food safety management system, it is the company's commitment to improve food safety performance that matters the most. FSSC 22000 is a robust system which uses current standards like ISO 22000, ISO 22003 together with the technical industrial specifications, because we can say that this FSSC 22000 is a broader management system because it contains ISO 22000 also, and with that PRPs and additional requirements also. Together with the technical industrial specifications, programs of preliminary conditions and programs of preliminary conditions were made on the grounds of public awareness. In the ISO 22000, PRP is also included, but FSSC 22000 has more focus on the PRPs, and they have incorporated the PRPs also in the standard in the FSSC, and that is also GFSI recognized. And for the eligibility of ISO 22000, food companies compliant with ISO 22000 standard can attain the certificate of FSSC 22000 also, with some additional requirements, as I have already told, that with the PRPs and additional PRPs and technical specifications. And then FSSC 22000 is accepted by the Global Food Safety Initiative. This is GFSI recognized FSSC 22000, and some additional steps include compliance with technical industrial specifications and additional scheme requirements, which are PRPs, for example, for different the food industry segments. And then what is the difference? With FSSC. FSSC 22000 is a certification scheme that contains ISO 22000 along with ISO 22000. It also includes specific technical standards. ISO 22000 offers less rigid requirements for the certification authority. Also, the requirements for food organizations are less tough compared with FSSC 22000. This is more tough than ISO 22000. And then FSSC specifies detailed requirements on infrastructure and documentation as well. And for certification of FSSC 22000, it is mandatory to prepare and implement the same procedures and documents as for ISO 22000, because ISO 22000 is base for FSSC 22000. And then moreover, additional requirements will also be implemented as per FSSC 22000. For the FSSC 22000, some additional requirements and PRPs will be implemented and documented also. And then needs of interested parties. What are the needs of concerning interested parties? Interested parties are the partners, are the people, are the companies, are the organizations which are directly in contact and with that food organization, and the profit of this food organization is directly the profit of those organizations, and the loss of this organization is directly the loss of those organizations also. That's why now in the latest standards, these are all stakeholders which are related to that related to a food organization which is ISO or FSSC certified. These are called its interested parties. If a company has a legal or customer requirement to use FSSC 22000, then the decision may not be there for the company to select. In that case, FSSC 22000 is the only way forward. And then does a company need to follow the stricter auditing practices of FSSC 22000? The procedure, if our consumer or our customer or our legislative body requires FSSC 22000, then there is no choice. Either we have to go towards ISO 22000 or FSSC, then we have to go towards FSSC. And then does a company need to follow the stricter auditing practices of FSSC 22000? Yes, the procedure of certification is not much different. However, the needs of the FSSC 22000 scheme are more specific and rigid from the ISO 22000. So the certification under this scheme is a very extensive and labor oriented process. And then auditing, when it comes to checking and evaluating the FSMS, there are minor differences in the auditing of these two standards. ISO 22000-2018 audit is being carried out by certification bodies that are recognized by national accreditation bodies, while these certification bodies follow ISO auditing standards and international accreditation forum rules. On the other hand, FSSC 22000 involves the same auditing practice as of ISO 22000. However, there are fewer numbers of FSSC 22000 auditors available compared with ISO 22000 auditors, because this is a latest version and more advanced standard. That's why the number of auditors for the FSSC 22000 are less than the ISO 22000, because this ISO 22000, that is from the 2005 onward, that's coming. That's why its auditors are more, and for the FSSC 22000, its auditors availability is less than ISO 22000. And then GFSI, global food safety issues, and ISO 22000. What's the relation between GFSI or global issues and ISO 22000? According to World Health Organization, the key food safety issues in 2017 included uh, in globally the food safety issues. We will discuss those. That the report of WHO of 2017 states that hazardous food containing harmful bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances resulted in more than 200 diseases. Because we can say that there are more than 200 diseases which are food due to the food safety issues, starting from diarrhea to cancers. And then around 600 million, about 1 in 10 person, we can say that 10% of the 10% of the world fell ill after consuming hazardous and contaminated food. We can say that the 10% of the people, they cause the food poisoning or the food borne diseases. And then 420,000 persons died every year due to it, and 420,000 persons annually die due to the food poisoning and foodborne diseases. Children aged under 5, because the children aged under 5 are more vulnerable and they have the less immunity. That's why carried children under 5 carried 40% burden of the foodborne diseases. And from these 10% foodborne diseases, the 40% foodborne diseases are in the children which are aged under 5. 1,25,000 children died every year due to it, and that from that 40% people, 1,25,000 children died every year due to just foodborne diseases. And then diarrheal illnesses were the most reported diseases resulting from eating hazardous food. So 550 million people fell ill due to diarrhea. Diarrhea resulted in 2,30,000 deaths every year. We can see that how much are critical these food safety issues and foodborne diseases caused by the unsafe food. Then diseases due to unsafe food obstructed socio-economical development by pushing healthcare systems to its extreme. And the developing countries like Pakistan and Africa, they don't have the so much resources to combat with these health problems and health issues caused by these food safety issues. then it hurt national economies also, and tourism also, and then trade also. And now the ISO 22000, what is ISO 22000? Food supply chains are now operating beyond national borders, because the food supply chains are in the international trading now. A good cooperation between governments, producers, and consumers assists in food safety. Different groups and government bodies are now concerned about food safety. ISO 22000 is the management system for food chain businesses. ISO 22000 assists them to manage and to improve their food safety performance. ISO revises the standard considering the challenges food businesses face day to day in terms of legal requirements, business context, and the changing realm. Because the business also requires the food safety, and then the business context and the changing realm, all that require the safe food and food safety image of the organization. And then anyone can see that whatever we have studied about the WHO report of 2017 about the global food safety issues, anyone can go towards the WHO website and can see those figures. And then transition guidelines, how any company can go from ISO
Sir, can you
22000.
back? Sir, can you back previous slide?
So, você de cá, uau. É, você disse.
Thank you, sir.
Isso.
So the transition guidelines, how a company can go towards the FSSC from the ISO 22000, or okay, how they can transit from one standard to the upper standard or the advanced standard. So companies now need to upgrade ISO 22000 2005 to
Yeah.
2018, because this is the latest one. For the transition, numerous steps must be followed in order to upgrade the existing management system to the new standard based on the guidelines of ISO 2000 2018. The following sequence of steps is recommended if a company is already certified on the ISO 22000 2005 version, and that can transit towards the better and the latest and the upper standard version, which is 2018. Then perform analysis on the organization's context, analyze interested parties. Those individuals are food organizations that can influence or get influenced by your organization. Simply, we can see this is the review of our FSMS. Analyze internal and external issues that might influence organization's food safety management system. Then check how these risks and opportunities can be managed with the help of a management system. So then recognize the scope of the FSMS. Previously, the scope of FSMS was 2005 version, and then when we will transit towards the 2018 version, then the scope of the FSMS will be ISO 22000 2018 version. And then utilize context study data and information to institute food organizations processes, risks assessment, risk evaluation, and most significantly to develop the key performance indicators, KPIs for the organization's activities related to food safety. And then a transition plan to ISO 22000 2005 compliant and certified food organizations. If you are presently implementing ISO 22000 2005, then prior implementation will be helpful for transition to ISO 22000 2018. Multiple requirements of ISO 22000 2018 are the equivalent or analogs. There are many similarities between these two versions. Only there are some differences, but the clauses are stated in a different order and have slightly different terminologies. Only the order and terminologies have been changed, and some additional requirements have been added in the latest version. Existing users of 2005 version should take note of the following suggestions. All that they should do the gap analysis, and according to the gaps analysis they can review their FSMS for updation also. And then this ISO 22000 2018 creates new horizon, that the inclusion of high risk based thinking in FSMS. This risk based thinking is very important. In risk based thinking we do the risk assessment, the risk identification, and then risk analysis, all that, which reflects the severity and the chances both of the risks and the hazards. And then ISO 22000 incorporates risk-based thinking to manage food safety risks and opportunities. The focus is the food safety in all these food safety management system, either it's has whether it's ISO 22000 to 2018 version, either it's VRCGS or FSSC 22000 or IFS. All these food safety standards have the same objective. They focus on food safety. The ISO 22000-2018 standard does not specify requirements for occupational health and safety. That is another separate thing. Occupational health and safety is separate than the food safety. Then the focal point of this standard is the food performance related to product safety. There is and then for the occupational health and safety, the ISO standard is ISO 45001. And then there is a requirement to list all hazards related to processing activities, products, and services. And whenever we will do the hazard analysis or study related to the hazards, and with the help of that hazard analysis study, we can make a proper control measures and other preventive measures to control these hazards. And then we will focus on the processing activities, products, and services in the hazard analysis. And then critical hazards will be managed for eradication or mitigation. And in our food safety management system, we focus for the elimination of the or eradication of the critical hazards, or the mitigation of the critical food safety hazards, or to came them, to bring them towards the safe limit, to safe and acceptable limit. And then food organizations to be proactive. Is this proactive approach is very essential in every aspect of our life. Proactive approach is better than the reactive approach, because the reactive approach that is after the loss, while the proactive approach is a preventive approach, which is before and to control the loss, and we for the prevention of loss, we can say that. In rapid growing and creating world, there is a requirement for food organizations in food chain to be proactive rather than reactive. They should foresee action instead waiting for the release of new food regulations and codes of practice. They do their planning one step ahead, and keeping in view the fast developing this world. And then benefits of ISO 22000. What are the benefits of this ISO 22000, for which we are talking about that? And then food organizations should apply ISO 22000-2018 to build an effective food safety management system. The main purpose, the main objective, the main focus is to build an effective food safety management system. Implementation will help food companies to gain the benefits of ISO 22000. Implementing ISO 22000-2018 has numerous advantages for food organizations, and organizations and companies can attain benefits in following ways. These are following are the benefits of implementing ISO 22000 in our organizations. ISO 22000-2018 offer assurance that food hazard is being controlled and safety is ensured. And then increase resource efficiency, gain competitive advantage in food supply chain, because it's a global system, food safety management system, international food safety management system. And then grow with the new business opportunities. There is a global or international horizon or market is there having this implemented food safety management system. And then gain stakeholder and customer trust when there will be food safety, proper food safety, and there will be less food safety issues or food safety customer complaints or the issues to the consumers. Then the company will gain stakeholders and customers trust, and then manage food safety obligations with consistency. Food safety management systems provide help or support in managing the food safety obligations with consistency, and then strengthen internal teams to ensure food safety with effective implementation. And then these certifications, continual improvement, and legislation are the part of this system.
More.
So these certifications, most of the food organizations will make use of ISO 2018. Organizations also want recognition for their food safety management system that comes with the certification of ISO 2018. So the certificate or the certification of ISO 2018 will make the company internationally certified, and the customers or the organizations or the consumers and the other country customers, they will have assurance and believe in that company, because that is internationally certified on food safety management system. So certification from third party auditors is simply a recommendation that exhibits external parties that the subject organization proves its conformance with ISO 22018 standard during the sample based audits, and that if a company has ISO 2018 certificate, that means that the third party auditors which are not from that organization, or which are not from the as a which are not partners or the stakeholders of that organization, they are doing the independent audit of that company, and they are assuring that this company complies with the standards, so food safety standards. That's why their certification is still continued. And then the continual improvement, what does it mean? ISO 22000 can offer companies a range of benefits, provided that the company can implement the standard in an effective and efficient manner. The standard directs organizations to manage and mitigate food safety hazards for the risk management approach to be effective. Because this standard is based on the risk management principles, the system should be continually improved. Objectives should be updated with the new targets considering the business context. And when we have every year or every quarter, we have more and new food safety objectives, and we cover those objectives, and then the company grows more in the food safety perspective. And then according to the legislation, the enforcement of the standard ensures compliance with present applicable legislation. Whenever a legal requirement changes, it may be highlighted in compliance review meeting or in management review, which is known as MRM, which is of the top management's meeting. In that, the changes of the legal requirements should be discussed and implemented. And then revised publication milestone. The aim of this revised standard or version of 2018 is the world's most important international standard for food safety management system. FSMS is envisioned to provide a framework for managing food safety. ISO 22000-2018 will pave out standardized ways for food chains to operate. So these are as internationally and standard. So all the industries or the companies of the world which implement these standards, they are standardized in the ways of food chain to operate. And then the objective of this new version is ISO 2000-2018 food safety management system offers a vigorous and effective management system for improving food safety performance in the global supply chain. And then designed for whom? For whom this 22000 or the latest version have been drafted or designed. The ISO 22000 standard is designed to help food chains to of any size regardless of the demographics. the standard will be applicable for food organizations in all regions of the world, not only in the Asia or Europe. This is for the all organizations in all regions of the world. ISO 2000-2018 is a voluntary standard unless there is a requirement from customer or regulatory body. And in most of the world, in most of the countries of the world, these all ISO standards are voluntary standards. Either it's a HACCP or it's ISO 20000, FSMS 22000, the BRCGS. But in whenever in any country, any of these standard, either it's HACCP or ISO 2000 or FSMS or BRCGS, if the company's regulatory bodies make it mandatory, make it important, mandatory means have to follow. There is no choice. Then these standards in that those countries are mandatory, while where these the country legislation does not make it mandatory, there the companies take it as advantage. uh, International standard, they implement that as a voluntary. And then expectation from this new version or the updated version 2018 version or the new international standard ISO 2018 is expected to effectively control food safety hazards around the world. Because if the different if the companies of country will implement these food safety management system, and that will be helpful in controlling the food safety issues. And uh, by the compilation of the whole world, if the mostly countries they implement these food safety management system, then it can help in the reduction of food safety or foodborne illness burdens of the country's economical structure. And then that I was discussing before, that these standards ISO 22000 or ISO 9001 or ISO 14001 or ISO 45001, they have some clauses which are very relevant and very similar to each other. That's why those standards are known as high level structure. And in the IMS integrated management system, if the audit is of the IMS, a single audit is for these, for example, three standards for 9001, for 22000, and for 14001. Then in a single audit, these clauses can be considered in a single audit as they are compared to each other, and that approach is known as high level structure. So ISO 9001 quality management system, ISO 14001 is environment management system, and ISO 45001 is occupational health and safety management system, are all based on HLS structure. Food safety management system standard ISO 22000-2018 is also based on HLS. So these four standards, they have some clauses, they have their clauses similar to each other. That's why they are all considered in HLS. It means ISO 22000-2018 can be easily integrated with other business systems based on HLS structures. The clauses, clause 1 for all 9001, 22000, and 45001. The clause 1 of all these standards is scope. And then the clause 2 for all these standards is normative references. And then the clause 3 for all these standards is terms and definitions. And then the clause 4 of all these standards is context of the organization. And then the clause 5 of all these standards is leadership. And then the clause 6 for all these four standards is planning, about the planning. And then clause 7 of all these four standards is about the operation, which is we can say that the backbone of the standard. All these are the supporting clauses for the operation. And then the class 9 is the performance evaluation. And then class 10 is about the improvement. And these 10 clauses of these four standards are similar to each other. That's why they are considered in the HLS, and their audit also can be done at a same time at same place while considering as IMS. And then documentation also can be done with the same. So the background of ISO 22000 revision, why it was revised, need of a revised edition on ISO 22000. The need of a revision came with mainly considerations the changing business dynamics contributed towards the change. Business risk management inclusion in food safety management system was another important consideration. The change was led by incorporating the Plan Do Check Act, which is also known as PDCA model. That was the main initiative or the main reason behind its updation. This PDCA they have been adopted and implemented or incorporated in this latest version model at the organizational as well as the operational level. And then behind ISO 22000 revision, ISO 22000 revision proposal was initially presented in the year 2014 in front of the technical committees of ISO who had worked on bringing out this change. ISO 22000 was published in June 2018. Means it took 4 years to the technical committees to finalize the standard. That means that extensive research and work have been done in the upgradation of standard from 2005 version to 2018 version. And then ISO 22000 is well timed. Experts claim that the development of the new FSMS standard was well timed in June 2018. ISO 2018 matches the structure of the publication of newly revised ISO 9001 to 2015, and that also this revision or this upgradation also matches with the QMS upgradation also, quality management system, and then also with the ISO 14001 2015, which is environmental management system. These are the latest versions of QMS and EMS and OHMS. 45,000 and 2018 system, it matches this latest version with the latest version of QMS, EMS, and OHMS also. And then shared common requirements, as we already discussed in the HLS also. The shared common requirements among the three most important international standards of management systems are ISO 9001, 45,000, and ISO 14,001, along with sector-specific food safety management requirements in the ISO 22000 should empower food organizations operating in food chains to incorporate them more easily into the business. And then ISO 22000 is a well-timed and ISO 22000 versus ISO 22000 What is the difference between these two standards? ISO 22000 was the international standard for food safety management systems and was adopted by many different companies operating in various countries around the world. It is important to check the differences between the two editions so as to help food organizations to update their management system from ISO 22005 to ISO 22018. What are the major differences between ISO 22005 and ISO 22015? There are many secondary differences, but the primary difference is that ISO 22018 version focuses on the interface of a food organization with its business environment. So the business environment has been focused in the upgradation, whereas ISO 2005 was concentrated on managing food safety, hazards, and other internal issues at the operational level. And in the 2018 version, the external issues are the external parties is already and also has been incorporated and targeted also. Check the and then these are the differences in these two versions. In ISO 2005 version is built on the procedure based approach, while the 22018 version is built on the process based approach. That was on the procedure based approach, and this is on the process based approach, and also this is on the PDCA based approach in 2018. And then 2005 version considers risk exclusively, while in 2018 incorporates both risk and opportunities also. While in 2005 version does not include the views of interested parties. As already we have discussed that it was more focused on the internal issues, while the 2018 is focused on the external issues also. So 2018 incorporates the views of interested parties, means the stakeholders and the external partners also. So then this is the PDCA cycle. We can say that for all these systems, QMS, EMS, and FSMS and occupational health and safety management system, they adopt in their latest versions this PDCA cycle. And this PDCA cycle states that the standard is the whole standard clauses we can divide into these four phases accordingly. First phase is plan, and then do, and then check, and then act. The clauses 4 to 7, these are related to the planning, context of the organization, leadership, and then planning and support. These clauses, four clauses, are related to the planning. And then the implementation, related to the implementation, is the main, as I have already told, that this is the backbone of the management systems. This clause operation, eighth clause. And then this is about the implementation. And then check, the clause 9 is about the check. This is about the performance evaluation. And then act according to the performance evaluation. And then the act for the improvement, we can go for the improvement. That clause 10, that is in the phase of act, that is for the improvement. So the OPRP is also discussed in this PDCA cycle. First of all, whenever we have to implement any system, especially if we focus on the ISO 2018, we will talk about that. Then first of all, the PRPs are important. We should consider the PRPs. PRPs are the prerequisite programs. These are the basic requirements. These are the basic necessities for any food organization that should be implemented before the implementation of the food safety management. Either it's HACCP, either it's ISO 22000, either it is FSSC 22000, either it is BRCGS, either it is IFS. First of all, the basic requirements are PRPs, prerequisite programs. These are the basic requirements that should be implemented in a food organization. Either it's a small scale business, either or it's a it's very a multinational organization. The PRPs are must, and that should be properly implemented. And then the traceability system of the organization should be implemented, documented, and the implemented also. And then emergency preparedness and response, that also should be implemented in the organization. And then hazard analysis, that is the first principle of the HACCP, that should be implemented in any organization. And then the validation of control measures, that is the fifth principle. After the identification, or after the setting the CCPs, we do we identify, or we verify or validate the critical control measures. And then these critical control measures are on the basis of validation. They are implemented on the basis of validation, that these control measures will or can eliminate or reduce the food safety hazards to the safer limit. And then hazard control plan, the full implementation of the HACCP, and now the OPRP is also included in the HACCP. And then verification planning, after the implementation of the food safety management system, or the implementation of the HACCP, we do the verification, and then implementation of the plan, food safety management system plan. And then the control of monitoring and measuring. After the setting the control, critical control point and critical control limits, we do monitoring of those critical control points and critical control limits. And then according to the control, there are the analysis of results of verification activities and verification activities. And these are the part monitoring, for example, monitoring at the controls. And then updating the preliminary information and documentation, specifying this is the documentation is the seventh principle and the last principle of HACCP also. So the HACCP is also the backbone or the base of all the food safety management systems. And then PRPs and the hazard control program, we will discuss in the definition of this abbreviation of PRP also. and OPRPs also we will discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. This PDCA model, Plan, Do, Check, Act model, that ISO 2018 is comprised of the simple approach, Plan, Do, Check, Act model, which offers a mechanism for food organizations to plan what they need to enforce. Planning is necessary first for every task of the our life. First of all, we have to do the planning, and according to the plan, then we go towards its implementation. And that's the same is described by the PDCA cycle. First of all, we do planning, and then we go towards its implementation phase, and then its monitoring or the evaluation phase, and then for the upgradation or the improvement stage. And then which offers a mechanism for food organizations to plan what they need to enforce. Planning is necessary for effective implementation as it helps to mitigate the occurrence or severity of food safety hazards. The PDCA approach is integrated at two levels in the standard, one at the organization level and other at operational level. So the planning the plan part at the management system level is the analysis of food organizations context and the involvement of leadership in FSMS. Leadership defines FSMS policy because this FSMS policy is drafted by the top management, and that also represents the top management commitment also, which is very crucial and very important in the implementation of every food safety management system. So the policy, if a company is committed to provide the food safe food, then first of all they have to make their policy, and especially for the food safety management system, they should make their food safety policy. For example, any organization, they can make their food safety policy as we are committed to provide safe and hygienic product to our customers. Then it is the leader that takes the accountability of the overall system. The food safety team leader and the organization's owner, these are the leaders, these are the key persons who are the accountable also. They can present themselves as accountable also for the food safety issues, and also for the better food safety implementation. Also, the leadership provides the necessary resources needed for the activities. The seventh clause of all these management systems, and especially the food safety management system ISO 2018 is related to the support, and without the support the management system cannot be implemented. The leadership provides the necessary resources needed for the activities of the management system. Planning activities include action plans from identified business risks and opportunities, FSMS objectives, and all, and planning of changes, because there are the chances of changes or the improvements after the implementation of the asset. So we will make the planning of changes also in our management system. And then at organizational level, this is the second step. First we make the planning, and then we go towards the implementation phase, which is the do phase. And in the implementation or the do phase, the standard helps top management to own its legal obligations related to food safety hazards. Every country has the legal requirements or the legal standards which the food organizations have to follow when they are working in in that country. So the standard helps to top management to own its legal obligations, that for providing the safe and hygienic product to the consumers is the legal obligation in every country of the world by the legislative bodies. And then all operational activities are part of the do, because these are related to the implementation of the system. And then phase of the management system, the do phase, is then further elaborated on the basis of PDCA. This is explained in the next. And then the third phase of the PDCA model is the third phase is check. It is the part where performance evaluation is done. After the implementation, we check and we evaluate the performance of the system and the persons also. Internal audit and management reviews are the part of the check phase, because in the internal audit, minor LCs and the major LCs and the observations, all that we do according to the standard requirements and clauses, and we find the conformances and non-conformances, and on the basis of non-conformance we do better review for better improvement. And then management review meetings, we can discuss this internal audit report also in the management MRM meetings, and also the food safety issues or the food safety complaints by the customers, by the consumers, and the by the food legislative authorities also, their visit and their comments by the legislative bodies inspection also can be included in the MRMs, and accordingly we can review and improve our system. And then monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation also falls in the check phase of the PDCA cycle. All these are the part of check phase. And then act, that is the part we can say that is for the improvement part. The act part is actually the improvement part. It is referred in the standard as continual improvement. It is a recurring activity to enhance food safety performance. Corrective actions are part of it. It can also, because on the basis of monitoring, on the basis of evaluation, on the basis of measurement, we have the record, we have the data analysis which shows the non-conformances, and on the basis of those non-conformances data we should go towards the improvement, and corrective actions are part of it. It can also result in changes to the food safety management system. And then on the operational level, then again this PDCA cycle, I think that we are taking here the 15 minutes break, and after 15 minutes break at 3:45 p.m. This break is for the prayer or and if anyone want to do any other activity, and at 3:45 p.m. Just after the 15 minutes we will be in touch, and we will continue this training again. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
छोटे साइड पे हो जाओ, साइड पे हो जाओ छोटे। हेलमेट ना लगना चाहिए। हेलमेट तो है भाई। हाँ एक सेकंड उधर दस ओए और ये भाई तो लिखा है और बैठो एक मिनट बस।
Versions, then ISO 22000 2005.
nǹkan tó máa sọ pé àdúgbò yín nìyẹn má lọ bí tí. ó ṣàbẹ̀ mi ra coconut bọ̀ ibo lẹ fẹ́ lọ gangan ná kí ni ìròyìn gangan ná.
Please, everyone, mute yourself.
owó kan tẹ̀ ṣe ń ṣe kí inú wọn tẹ̀ yé mi ìgbà tí mo fi lọ́gà ọ̀tí ẹ̀ báyìí mi ò fi ṣe screen nǹkan tí
Okay, welcome back. Good evening to everybody. Yeah, slide is visible. Slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Can you see
Visible.
the
Yes,
slide?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we were on the PDCA cycle, which is plan, do, check, act model at operational level. In operational planning, hazard analysis inputs are determined and worked upon. These inputs are PRPs, prerequisite programs, which already I have discussed that these are the basic necessities or the basic requirements in any food business, and then the traceability system. That is also very important. Then the emergency preparedness and response at the operational level. Step one in the planning, we should do planning of a PRPs, traceability system, emergency preparedness and response. Please mute all your speakers. Please mute your mics. And then the planning, in the planning, PRPs planning, traceability system planning, and emergency preparedness and response planning is very important. Moreover, hazard analysis is also done in the operations planning. And then because this is the first step, and in the HACCP also, for making the food safety management system, we have to do the hazard analysis at the first, and on the basis of hazard analysis we can take the corrective we can take the preventive measures and the control measures also. And then control measures are defined and validated. Validated means that the measures which we are going to adopt or implement, that measures will prevent our items from any type of hazards, and that measures are will be helpful in our production of safe and hygienic food. And after validation, any changes in control measures are incorporated in hazard control plan. For example, setting the temperature, the cooking temperature as 75 degrees centigrade for the core cooking temperature for the meat is done after the validation that this temperature, cooking at this temperature at 75 degrees centigrade, for example, for the 30 seconds, that will eliminate or reduce the food safety hazards, especially the bacteriological hazards towards to the safest limit. And then after validation, any changes in control measures are incorporated in hazard control plan and the OPRP. OPRPs are the operational prerequisite plans. After that, planning of verification is done in the plan part of operations. So this is all about the plan part of the operations, and the second step is the do, which is the implementation part. The do part of the operations of the PDCA cycle includes implementation of all the plans, OPRPs, HACCP, extra control of measurement and monitoring, control of product and process non-conformities are also included in the do part of operations, because this is the implementation part. And then the check part of PDCA, which is related to the monitoring, or we can say uh, in the check part of the operations, verification activities are performed for all implemented plans. It also incorporates the analysis of the results of verification activities. Monitoring and verification are the part of this part check. And then according to the data analysis of the check part, then act part, and this is the last part. This is for the improvement. We can make the improvement plan according to the results or the data analysis by the check part. Some of the outputs of the check part of the operations can mandate actions. Such actions can include changes in the PRPs and hazard control plan. The changes are incorporated so as to have the correct verification results. Whenever there is any change in any product, process, or equipment or machinery, or is there any visible justification that the food safety complaints are still coming from the consumer, or the legislative body is not satisfied with the food safety management system, or with the food safety condition of the products, then we have to review the process also, and according to the data analysis by the correct by the check part, we can do the improvement accordingly. And then important areas of publication of this ISO 2018 are first of all, is the organization's context. And then this external and internal issues are have been added in the 2018 version. External and internal issues of food organization need to be addressed as per clause 4.1. It is actually a business context analysis, but having a food safety perspective. As we already discussed that in the 2005 version, the focus was on the internal audit and on the internal uh, evaluations, while in the 2018 version, external parties have been added, and the focus is also on the external parties and their internal and their issues also. So it is actually a business context analysis, but having a food safety perspective. It mandates organizations to systematically recognize the internal and external issues. The company must study the numerous issues related to food safety which affects their business management, operations, as well as the system. And then interested parties, clause 4.2 presents a prerequisite on analyzing the needs and expectations of the interested parties in the domain of food safety. The company is required to recognize and comprehend the issues related to these parties. The relevant issues should be analyzed and controlled through the food safety management system. And similarly, the scope of this management system, ISO 2018, is in the class 4.3 is related to the scope. The scope, I have already told that it is about on which premises we are system, and
सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
अब मैं फिर करता हूँ, मेरे हाथों का मैं आता हूँ।
माइनस वाई टेम्परेचर है।
हाँ,
कैसे से बन रहा
ये यहाँ से डिवाइस नहीं चल
है? गूगल नहीं दे रहा।
रहा। Okay, is this slide visible? Slide visible? Important areas of publication. Is this slide visible?
No, sir, we can't see any slides.
Okay, this option not coming.
ਉਹ ਚੁੱਪ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜੇਲਨ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਸੁਣਦਾ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ
भाई माइक बंद कर ले, तेरी मेहरबानी।
सर कर दें स्टार्ट।
Okay, welcome back. Your slide is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please all mute your mics. Okay. External and internal issues, and then we were on the scope. Clause 4.3 is related to the scope. Unlike FSMS, ISO 22000-2005, the scope should only be defined when an organization performs analysis of external and internal issues, needs and expectations of interested parties. And then the leadership and commitment clause says that similar to ISO 9001 and ISO 14001, there is higher stress on the responsibility of top management in the area of improvement of food safety performance and ensuring the effectiveness of the FSMS. And then FSMS policy, as I have already told that the food safety policy is very important. After the safety, we will make the plan. Top management leadership will be accountable for developing organizational food safety policy. And then as per clause 5.2, there is an increased requirement for effective communication and participation so as to ensure compliant food safety conditions. The policy should be in accordance with the company's processes and its context. Organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities as per clause 5.3. All roles and responsibilities and authorities must be properly defined, communicated, and understood. However, accountability of top management for the overall system can never be delegated because this is with the top management. Unlike ISO 9001 and ISO 14001, ISO 22000 and 2018 mandates the role of food safety team leader who is assigned specific responsibilities by the strategy. So, food safety team leader is leads the food safety plan and food safety management system. As per and then the next clause is risk and opportunities. And then as per clauses 6.1 and 6.1.2, 1.3 of ISO 22000-2018, organizations have to identify, order, and take action to optimize opportunities and risk. That, that is related to the risk assessment. The analysis on risk and opportunities should come up with the factors of organization's context referred in clauses 4.1 and 4.2. As we already have discussed that in the 2005 version, there was only there were work was on the risks and opportunities were not included in the 2005 version, while in the 2018 version have also been included. These issues, needs, and expectations may favor the organization are against it. Therefore, risk should not only be managed for negative food safety impact, but also for internal and external issues. And the needs and expectations of interested parties related to FSMS. All these factors together influence the capability of the management system to yield its envisioned results, improved food safety performance. When planning for the food safety management system, the food organization must consider the issues referred to internal and external issues, and similarly the requirements referred in needs and expectations of interested parties and the scope of its food safety management system. And then important areas in the of publication, objectives and performance. The clause 6.2 emphasizes objectives and for improvements. For example, clauses 6.2.1 and 6.2.2 of ISO 2018 says that and performance evaluation example clause 9.1.1 says that the objective should support the food safety policy. That means that objectives should be made according to the food safety policy and reflect the strategic direction. Moreover, the context of the organization will also help in identifying relevant
सर आप किस स्लाइड पे हैं?
important areas of application, objectives and performance. And now the support. Okay, we are talking about the support from class 7.1 to 7.5 because this clause 7.1 clause 7 whole is related to the support. From class 7.1 to 7.5 there are various support functions which include the availability of sufficient resources, competency among the workers to ensure food safety. This competency we can say combination of two words. For example, the relative qualification and experience and expertise. So the combination of these three is known as competency. Necessary awareness of workers and supplies, sufficient communication for food safety, and requirements for documented information. Some important points in these support requirements are actions related to communication must be appraised for their effectiveness. Awareness must cover the policy, critical food safety hazards, employees, roles and contractors, role for food safety performance. Without giving the role to the food safety team, we cannot get the food safety control issues or the food safety control results. Awareness also includes the knowledge of related personas or critical control points. So that's very important that what are the critical control points in our process, and then which control measures and which control critical control limits have been added on those critical control points, and then what monitoring activities and what monitoring activities have been planned for that, and then according to the monitoring then corrective actions on the basis of the non-conformance viewed during the monitoring. And then these the words documented information has been presented similar to ISO 9001. It encompasses how an organization should opt to create, maintain, and retain information which is compulsory for the food safety management system. It is the seventh clause of HACCP and the last clause of HACCP, which is related to the documentation. The organization is required to decide what documented information, both internal and external, should be controlled. So that is also very important that the documentation should be controlled. It also includes the need for documented procedures. And then operations and emergency preparedness is also very important. From clause 8.1 to 8.9, the whole clause 8 is related to operation. It is operational planning and control, prerequisite programs, PRPs, systems, emergency preparedness, response method, control, verification, related to hazard control plan and PRPs. Control of product and process non-conformities, control of measurement and monitoring. Each section has detailed requirements to maintain effective food safety management systems. Planning has been incorporated, explicating plans to control the identified risk and hazards. Hazards need to be addressed with critical controls that are to be implemented. Procurement and outsourcing in the new standard is required to scrutinize purchased goods and services. Even this procurement and purchasing considered in these procurement and services requirements of the management system, because if not control safety from our raw materials, then producing the final product safe and hygienic for our customers is not possible. One more improvement is to clarify users the differences of the PRPs, PRPs and CCP. The clause 9 is related to the performance evaluation. The clause 9 performance evaluation is brought forth in order to have the same structure as of ISO 9001, which is QMS, and ISO 14001 as which is EMS, and other international standards like ISO 45001. General requirements on measurement and monitoring of food safety management system, analysis and evaluation from information from measurement and monitoring, results of verification activities for PRPs and hazard control plan. Moreover, analysis and evaluation should also include the results of internal and external audits. Internal audits should be carried out in a planned manner. The results should be communicated to the food safety team and the management. The audit activity must be completed. Management review clause has improved earlier requirements and inputs of FSMS ISO 2005. It now adds the context of food organization, improvement, risks, opportunities, management system effectiveness, issues of interested parties, etc. So these are the additions in 2005 version in 2018 version. And then the last clause is improvement, which is 10th class of ISO 2018 version, and similarly for ISO 9001 version, and similarly for the ISO 14001 version, and similarly for the ISO 45001 version. This last clause improvement, this is the 10th class, and that is related to the improvement. As per clause 10 of ISO 2000-2018, preventive action of ISO 2000-2005 has been linguistically removed, as it is already considered in the risk management phase. The food organization has to deal with the incident, correct the problem, build the corrective actions, investigate the root cause, that we do in the RCA also, according to the monitoring. If when we see any non-conformities or the non-conformances in the monitoring, the food organization is required to prove that it has management and a continuous improvement.
Excuse me, sir.
जी
सर आप कौन सी स्लाइड पे हैं? इधर कोई और शो हो रही है, चेक कीजिएगा.
important areas of publication की जो improvement की clause है 50, slide number 50.
Okay.
Visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The food organization must be capable to prove that they are using the outputs of performance analysis and evaluation, such as analysis on the verification results, validation controls, etc., to fill gaps and optimize opportunities. And these are the some terminologies which are known as fundamental terminologies which are used in ISO 22000-2018 version. Contamination in end product is the primary reason for a food safety hazard, which can come in the product or the product at any stage from the raw material receiving to the final product dispatch. At any stage that contaminant occur or can come in the product at any stage. Therefore, organization has to decide at a acceptable level for food safety hazard that we do in critical control limit. And hazard were the food safety hazard is acceptable to the organization. Criteria are this is to keep a check on controls and measures, for example, operational prerequisite plans OPR to control the food safety hazard. Acceptable level action criteria contamination are defined and explained by the ISO 2000-2018 standard. So the acceptable level is defined as per clause 3.1 of ISO 2018 as level of a food safety hazard not to be exceeded in the end product provided by the food organization. Because we can say that this is the maximum limit of any hazard that is acceptable. And then the action criteria. Action criteria is defined as per clause 3.2 of ISO 2018 as measurable or observable specification for the monitoring of an OPRP. An action criterion is established to determine whether an OPRP remains in control and distinguishes between what is acceptable criterion met or achievable means the OPRP is operating as intended and unacceptable. We can say in the critical and the CCPs also the critical control limit also means that this is the boundary between the acceptable and non-acceptable, yeah, or unacceptable. For example, if we keep a critical control level or critical control limit for meat cooking as 75 degrees centigrade for 30 seconds as a critical limit, that means that before or less than 75, even the 74 degrees centigrade is unacceptable. And then we can say that this 75 or above, that is acceptable limit. And whenever that limit crosses, that limit breaches, there is requirement for the action criteria. And then contamination is defined as per class 3.6 of ISO 2018 as introduction or occurrence of a contaminant, including a food safety in product or processing environment. These contaminations can be physical contamination, chemical contamination, biological contamination, microbiological contamination, or the allergen contamination. And then control measure. Control measure is defined as per clause 3.8 of ISO 2018 as action or activity that is essential to prevent a significant food safety hazard or reduce it to an acceptable level. For example, cooking is a control measure. Mostly, whatever the foods which are being cooked, being heated, or being given the heat treatment, in all these foods and in all these processes, heating or cooking or boiling is kept as a CCP. This step is kept as a CCP critical control point. This cooking or boiling or heat that can be applied as a control measure at this point to eliminate or to reduce the bacterial contamination or hazards to the safe limit or to the minimum acceptable limit. And then the critical control point. Critical, this is very important in all the food safety systems, whether it's a HESL, whether it's ISO 22000, whether it's FSSC 22000, whether it's BICGS. CCP is very important. The point is defined as per clause 3.2.1 ISO 2018 as step in the process, as I have already defined with the example of cooking. The step in the process at which control measures are applied. For example, at the cooking step, we apply the control measure applied to prevent or reduce a significant food safety hazard to an acceptable level and define critical limits and measurements enable the application of corrections. Then the critical limit. Critical limit is defined as per clause 3.1.2 of ISO 2018 as measurable value which separates acceptability from unacceptability. As I have already given the example of heat cooking. If we keep the critical limit as 75 degrees centigrade, are minimum 75 degrees centigrade, then less than 75 degrees centigrade, this before between the 74 and 75, that is the differentiation between the acceptable and unacceptable. Critical limits are established to determine whether a CCD remains in control. If a critical limit is exceeded or not met, the products affected are to be handled as potentially unsafe products. And this we can say as a non-conformant. And that product we say conformant products. And these are considered as potentially unsafe products in food safety matters. And then the end product. End product is defined as per class 3.5.5 ISO 2000-2018 as product that will undergo no further processing or transformation by the food organization. That's why the end product is also known as high risk items, because these will not be undergo for further processing. No further heat treatment or control measure will be given to them. That's why the end product is said are considered as a high risk item. A product that undergoes further processing or transformation by another organization is an end product in the context of the first organization, and a raw material or an ingredient in the context of the second organization. Simply, we can say that the end product is the product which will not go further processing. And then the flow diagram. Flow diagram is defined as clause 3.17 of ISO 2000-2018 as schematic and systematic presentation of the sequence and interactions of steps in the process. It is the representation of all the steps of the process in a sequence. Then the food chain is defined as 2.2 of 2018 as sequence of the stages in the production, processing, distribution, storage, and handling of food. The food chain also includes the production of materials intended to come into contact with food or raw materials. The food chain also includes the service providers. And then the distinction between food, feed, and animal food. Simply, we can say that food is for the human consumption and the feed is for the animal consumption. And then food safety. That is very important because we are talking about the food safety management system, that we should be clear about the definition of food safety. Food safety is defined as per clause 3.21 of ISO 2000-2008 as assurance that food will not cause an adverse health effect for the consumer when it is prepared and are consumed in accordance with its intended use. It covers also the food safety. Also, it covers the critical limits of the product, critical limits of the ingredients, critical limits of the food safety hazards. It also covers the allergens also, and also the intended use of the product for which consumers this product have been made, and which are the target consumers, which are the and that also covers the intended people, either they are for the whole people or for a special class of people. And then food safety is related to the occurrence of food safety hazards in end products and does not include other health aspects related to, for example, malnutrition. It is not to be confused with the availability of and access to food security. That is related to the food security. Availability of the food, that is related to the food security, and provision of safe food which will not import any hazards to the consumers when it will be consumed according to its intended use, That is the definition of food safety. This includes feed and animal food, also this food security. Then the food safety hazard. Food safety hazard is defined as for class 3.22 of ISO 2000-2008 as biological, chemical, or physical agent in food with potential to cause an adverse health effect. In the whole food safety management system, we work, we talk, we work and we plan for the prevention and for the control of these food safety hazards, which are physical, chemical, biological, microbiological, and allergen. Food safety hazards include allergen and radiological substances also. In the context of feed and feed ingredients, food safety hazards are those that can be present in our feed ingredients and that animal consumption of food can be transferred to food and can thus have the potential to cause an adverse health effect for the animal or the human consumer. In the context of operations other than those directly handling feed or food, producers of packaging materials, disinfectants, relevant food safety hazards are those hazards that can also be directly or indirectly transferred to food when used as intended. In the context of animal food, food safety hazards are those that are hazardous to the animal species for which the food is intended. And then what means the lot? The lot is explained as per class 3.24 of ISO 2000-2018 as defined quantity of a product produced and are processed and are packaged essentially under the same condition. This is a complete batch. The lot is determined by parameters established beforehand by the organization and may be described by other terms. For example, batch, as I have already explained. Significant food safety hazard. Significant food safety hazard is defined as per clause 3.4 of ISO 2000 as food safety hazard identified through the hazard assessment to be controlled by years. Significant food safety hazard, when we do the risk assessment, that means that this hazard has more chances as well as will impart more hazardous conditions to the product and more severe condition to the product. That's why it is considered as significant food safety hazard by the hazard risk assessment. Then the traceability is defined as per class 3.42 of class ISO 2000-2018 as the ability to follow the history, application, movement and location of an object through specified stages of production, processing and distribution. Then validation, it is very important. Many persons having the lead auditor certifications also and having the industrial experience also, they still remain confused between these two terms, verification and validation. While the verification is after the implementation of any control measure, while the validation is before the implementation of any control measure. Validation is done for the critical control limits or for the other control measures also. Validation is defined as per class 3.44 of ISO 2000-2018 as obtaining evidence that a control measure or combination of control measures will be capable of effectively controlling the significant food safety. For example, and we will do that process or that work that we will finalize and standardize this cooking temperature. That cooking temperature should be minimum 75 degrees centigrade for 30 seconds to control the food safety hazards, especially the bacteriological food safety hazards by cooking. Then this 75 degrees centigrade as a cooking temperature or as a core cooking temperature, we will establish by validation. Then the PRP, the prerequisite programs. PRP is defined as per class 2.35 of ISO 2000 as basic conditions and activities that are necessary within the organization and throughout the food chain to maintain food safety. These are the basic necessities. For example, the building and good agriculture practices, good hygiene practices, good manufacturing practices, and procurement, purchasing, pest control. These are all the PRPs. And similarly, OPRPs are within the operation. For example, receiving or filtration or sieving. These are the examples of OPRPs. And then operational prerequisite programs, OPRPs. OPRPs, operational prerequisite programs, OPRP is defined as per class 3.3 of ISO 2000-2018 as control measure or combination of control measures applied to prevent or reduce a significant food safety hazard to an acceptable level, and where action criteria and measurement or observation enable effective control of the process or the product. So the leadership role, this is an increased focus on top management to prove leadership and commitment with respect to the FSMS and food safety policy. Moreover, top management is also required to make sure that all responsibilities have been allocated, communicated, and understood around the organization. Top management have a duty to make sure that the significance of effective safety is communicated and comprehended by all stakeholders. Top management must ensure that the FSMS attains its planned outcomes. Top management must ensure a leadership role and exhibit commitment towards the food safety management system by observing certain elements discussed in the upcoming pages. So this is end of today's training and today's presentation. Any question, you can do that. And this is my contact number for further communication. I have my organization QSS Quality Standard Services, which is approved center of Highfield UK and Highfield UK International for the HACCP and other food safety system certificates of Highfield International, and I am also the approved trainer of Highfield International. So you can contact me for any Highfield training, and with that also for any training and like today related to ISO 9001 which is QMS, ISO 14001 which is environment management system, and ISO 45001 which is occupational health and safety management system, and also so related to the BRCGS issue 9 also.
Sir,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir.
नहीं पापा जी मिल जाता हर साइज अवेलेबल होता छोटे तो लाते हैं वो है हां तो फिर
अगर किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन है तो सर से क्वेश्चन कर लें आप।
सर अगर आपको नहीं मिला ना इसी में फिर अगर आपने सेटिंग करवानी तो मैं करवाता हूं और अपना यूनिट
So Maghrib Azan is here. So
Okay,
we will
sir.
end here this session today because I am going for the prayer.
Okay, okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
अल्लाह हाफिज सर, अल्लाह हाफिज।
यार वो स्लाइड अभी कुछ देर के लिए So I have shared again my contact number so that if anyone want to see that contact number for further communication or for further trainings, you people can contact me.
Sir, can we leave now?
हाँ जी बैठे नमाज की थी
हाँ तो फिर ले रहने दो।
Hello, sir.